It's Halo. The reason why I picked it is it's Halo.
Star Wars came first. Star Wars is Halo, confirmed.
Why? Why? You were so close to making that bit a forgotten bit.
What the fuck are we even supposed to be? That's what's bothering me.
What, on this picture?
Yeah, like...
We're in a briefing room.
Briefing rooms don't have chairs this comfy.
That's probably true.
In the future, they do.
Not in my authoritarian future human empire.
Yeah, but all of the people in our military-industrial complex, like, we're the people we care about, so we want to be comfortable for us, while we're making our authoritarian dictates to crush the populace between our boots,
We're the not child soldiers, so we get to sit in comfortable seats.
Yeah, we're the not bioengineered giant children murderers. I feel like Halo doesn't go into how up its own storyline is enough.
I broke Ben's heart once when I talked about how Halo is a fascist regime that was built around the idea of 9/11. I broke poor Ben's heart.
Well, I mean, you guys know what the origin of the Spartan Project was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't originally to fight the Covenant. It started before we knew the Covenant existed. It was used to crush rebellions.
Yep. Yeah, I'm a OG Halo nerd. I stopped after 3. That's just no more Halo for me. No, thank you. I will...
We got a satisfying conclusion, and then they were like, well, what if we kind of explore where the Spartan Project came from, but not really, because we're not going to demonize Halsey. I'm out.
The grappling hooks and Just Cause. Thank you very much.
Master Chief is like in a pseudo-romantic relationship with Cortana, the exact copy of the woman who kidnapped him as a child.
Master Chief, more
And
like
the
Master
closest-
Bates.
And the closest thing he's ever had to a mother, but that's not an Oedipus complex.
Most teenagers wanted to fuck the robot lady, right? Like the AI lady.
That's what we're talking about.
Cortana, yeah, but
Yeah, I'm saying most teenage boys were like, yeah, I'd fuck Cortana.
Well, it's because Halo 1 and 2 were just like, here's this AI, and then Halo 3 was like, here's this very sexy AI.
Yeah. Hey, what if this AI was also very sexy? What if we do that for the 14-year-old
Halo 3 was
audience?
just like, what if we just gave her tits? Like,
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
melons.
Big, massive AI. Just, Jay looks so unhappy.
hello and welcome to Star Wars Every Week Forever, the podcast in which we watch one Star Wars movie every week forever. This week, The Empire Strikes Back. Ben, how was your watch?
Good. I took the day off from work today, and I woke up at noon, and it felt great. And then I watched Star Wars until 2, and then I was like, oh shit, I should probably be a little bit productive at least today.
Yeah, I know how that feels.
That was all right.
Chris, how was your watch?
It was good. It was a good watch. It's always a good watch. Empire is never a bad watch.
My watch was
Okay.
fine. Yeah, my watch was fine. It was fine. Nothing too special this time around. It was a little disappointing. I'm caught in this awkward place between... I just got done with the venue songs, which is just songs they came up with in a month, where they... everywhere they went, they came up with a venue song for it, and it was kind of like, none of this is working, but these tunes are good. And then it was a good album. And then it was like, welcome to the 1-2-3s, the concept album where they teach kids their 1-2-3s. And it's like, okay, that's great. I will say, before I say anything else, this is the most important take from this episode. Guess what played as soon as Luke hit his head off of the hut? The Mickey Mouse Clubhouse theme.
That's really good. Yeah, that's really good. That's...
The rest is...
They Might Be Giants?
Yeah, they do a lot of stuff for movies, specifically kid stuff. They do a lot of stuff for kids. They've done a bunch of stuff for Disney. There's in this in this watch through, there was an episode from a song they did for Sky High. You know, that weird Disney movie where everybody
Love
was
that
like
movie.
superpowered fascists. That one.
Yeah.
And they did the Malcolm in the Middle theme. Yeah, they do a lot of side projects,
I knew they did a
especially
lot
for
of
Disney.
kids stuff. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse was not one I was expecting.
It was followed up by the
Just
Mickey
that
Mouse
it's
Clubhouse theme Hot Dog, and that was terrible, but
Hey,
really
so
funny at the same time.
Hot dog,
Hot.
hot
I
diggity
mean,
dog.
we could get the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse theme to play in an episode of Downtime Darth. Disney owns the theme technically.
Well, we'll ask Kathleen post haste.
Well,
This is all within Canon House. If we wanted to just put a short out with Mark Hamill hitting his head repeatedly to the tune of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, Disney could make that happen with no paperwork involved.
I need you guys to realize how much I've realized this podcast has been fucking with me lately.
No.
I had a dream last night that I was in a mansion owned by Mark Hamill, babysitting children that he might have, I don't know. But I was like 17. Like I was just coming out of high school age kinda. So like babysitting kinda made sense. And I clearly remember the layout of this like fucking mansion, and I was chilling out on the 3rd floor, but there was also like an above ground part that was level with the 3rd floor, and at one point Mark Hamill comes riding up on a horse, and the one kid goes, "Mark brought us Wendy's," so I open the window and climb out to the yard that's level with the 3rd floor, and there's Mark Hamill with Wendy's for us. And like he hands us the burgers, and they're like on a tray, but like they're like when you're at a cookout and they have like they're open faced with the top bun just sitting there, but they're just Wendy's burgers. And this is what this podcast has done to me.
Let's dissect this for a little bit.
we gotta. There's so many questions I have, and the first one is, when do you see your therapist next? And if you don't, then you need to make an appointment, because there's a whole lot more going on there than Star Wars.
It's a sociological fact that if you do something enough, especially in your childhood or when you're young, that'll kind of subconsciously go in your dreams. Everybody had the weird dream where they were in high school again somehow. That's just a weird dream you have for however long you have after you get out. That's like something that's been recorded in many, many people. You know, you have the weird dream where you're working somewhere you used to work that you don't work anymore because you were there so much. The problem I'm running into is this means you do this podcast so much that your brain has assumed that it is important enough for you to keep dreaming about, and that horrifies me.
You know, it really is like,
This podcast is either going to be a thing that gets completely forgotten about within the next 5 to 10 years, where we stop doing it, people stop caring, nobody ever hears it again, or it's going to become a thing that when we look back on it 20 years later, it's like, oh, this did some weird stuff to who I am as a person. Because like, I think for a bit before it, I was starting to get the whole in my life, like, oh, I'm just doing bits constantly. Like, I think D&D is part of that. You know, you're doing improv so much, so regularly, that you kind of start improving life, which is really the best way to live life if you're not already doing it.
Yeah.
Just yes and everyone at all times, whether they know they're involved or not. Just life's one big improv scene. Fucking go for it. I'm doing it so much more now, though, and a lot of the bits involve Star Wars. So I'm not. You were very specific at one point in describing this dream, Ben, in a way that I just love so much. Where you were like, "Oh, I remember exactly where I was. I was in like it's like you've seen this house once in a dream, and you're like, I know the whole layout. I'll show you over here to the foyer."
I have a mental map now of what this house looked like. Because where I was, the third floor was there were two sets of steps that both went up to this spot, and there were windows on either side, and it was like a balcony, but like internally, kind of. It was a time.
How did you know you were 17?
It's just
How did
like,
that-
'cause
He did what any rational person does when they wake up in a strange fucking surrealism painting house. They go, "Oh, that's my ID. Okay, yes, I'm 17. Perfect. All right."
no, I know I was younger than I am, and I'm like 17, 18 sounds about right. Like
When you
I
said
was,
it, you seemed so sure. Like I
No,
was
I was,
definitely
like-
17.
I was definitely like late high school like age.
I feel younger. I don't know what it is. I'm
Feel
gonna
young.
ballpark it. You know.
When I'm walking around, I don't feel the weariness of age, so I must be younger.
I
Look
didn't
down.
have the endless dread that is this podcast in my system yet, so
What was Mark Hamill like?
he's chill. He
Did
pulled
you
up
just?
on a horse with Wendy's, so
Did
like
he-
that was pretty cool.
Did he? Was it like Vladimir Putin, just proud shirtless man upon the back of a horse with a tray of Wendy's? Like,
No,
what was he
it
wearing? What was
just,
Mark
like-
Hamill wearing when you met him in your
The-
dream? Man?
I'm
The
trying to
facial
remember, honestly.
reaction you had to that was fascinating.
Was he wearing appropriate riding gear, or was?
No, it was khakis. No, it
It's like, no, he was wearing a pair of khakis and a
Everything's a
Seattle
bit.
Supersonics
Everything's a
jersey. I'm waiting for some weird specificity.
no, it was like just normal like street clothes.
Mark Hamill. What's Mark Hamill's normal street clothes, Ben? Explain this.
Like jeans and a t-shirt, like nothing nothing fantastic.
So you remember the layout of this fantasy mansion, but you don't remember what Mark Hamill was
Not
wearing
what
when
Mark
you met him
Hamill
while
was-
he was upon horse.
To be fair, it was a dream. It was a dream. I have the same problem.
And it was like he rolled up on like fucking Shadowfax or some shit, like a white horse, majestic as fuck. I'm worried.
Is Mark Hamill code for Boss Nass?
No.
Noted. The day Boss Nass brought me Wendy's.
Ben's talking about. I'm focused on like the mansion's town crier. Apparently, this child running like Mark has arrived with the Wendy's.
Lord Mark has brought us dinner of sea
Lord
salt
Mark of Hamill.
and lettuce and meat. Twas never refrigerated.
He banged his head at the top of the gate coming in 37 times. He kept riding back around for some reason.
Mickey Mouse Clubhouse theme plays.
So that was my existential dread for the week, and this was before I watched the movie.
It was your
This
brain
is-
reminding you that you had to watch Star Wars. There you go. You're welcome, Ben. Ungrateful. Oh, Jay was gonna fall out of her chair. Fucking ankles over elbows. Just fucking.
That's something I think you can hear on the podcast. When I laugh, I full body laugh. I don't just sit there and chuckle. Chris and I are two sides of an extreme. Chris is very, very still when he laughs. I'm all over the place.
So the Empire Strikes Back.
How did you feel about it, Chris? You were very excited to watch this movie the day
I
before your
was.
birthday.
I was very excited about it. It's like the universe gave me a backhanded gift. It was like, hey, buddy, you gotta record a podcast and watch Star Wars the night before your birthday. But hey, it's The Empire Strikes Back. You get to daydream about extending out this dinner scene incessantly that I'm sure people are sick of hearing about.
So you have asked me to let you know what was playing during the dinner scene when the time came.
Oh, correct.
It wasn't the best, but I enjoyed it greatly. a song called Withered Hope. A song about being in love with someone who absolutely does not feel the same way and is also deeply depressed.
It's a song about a podcast.
The song continues.
Welcome to Jay tries to read a fucking thing every week forever.
That song continues until they hit the dinner scene door, and as it opens, the lyrics play. Withered Hope says she has a soulmate living in a city in another state, but the soulmate thinks about a picture in a book of a beautiful crook, but the picture in the book of the crook is in love. Now, I like this sync mostly because it implies that Vader is thinking about Padme, and Padme still doesn't actually fucking like him in this. It's like a woman who is very disinterested. And my headcanon is that Padme never really liked him. She just settled. But that was the sync. It was a little disappointing, but it was also kind of good. That was most of the episode.
Can we? I know. No, it's related because it's still Anakin. It's Vader. Can we talk about how hard Padme settled for a second? Because I don't think it ever hit me quite as hard as it is right now. How hard Padme settled. Padme Amidala, Queen of Naboo. For those who have forgotten, for those perhaps unfamiliar with Her Royal Majesty.
Well, for most of the movies, former Queen of Naboo.
Oh yeah. Child Queen, Princess Amidala. Child, whatever. Should I say child?
Elected Queen.
Queen
Elected-
Princess.
The elected monarch.
The elected monarch.
Child Queen Lady walks into like a junkyard. It was a junkyard, you know. Meets this even younger child slave with some fucking Jedi hobo just pissing on himself the whole way. And this fucking like 10-year-old immediately starts hitting on her. And she's like, I'm a fucking queen, but whatever, this is fine. They do a bunch of shit. Doesn't see him for like, what was it, 5 years? 10 years?
10 years.
10 years?
She
Yeah,
was
like
she
9
was
years, I think.
she was 24 when they met again. She
So he was, like,
settled for
18,
him
19,
at
something like that.
24.
Yeah. So she then 10 years later sees this little kid again, but now he's got angst and longer hair, but it's a little thing, and she's like, yeah, I'm a queen, and this, emotionally unstable, just mess of a person, this one. It's time to stop exploring my options. He really seems to be into dictators.
It's a joke. It's a joke, obviously. Later in the episode, he
Clearly.
commits genocide. It's like, it was a joke.
Yeah, it was a joke. Do you have a thought, Jay? I don't want to cut you off on your.
No,
I feel
it's
like
just,
you and I hit the same place at the same time.
it's just the repeated realization that Padme and Anakin never talked ever at any time. There is no point in their relationship where they sat down and were like, I want this, well, I want that. This is what I want to do with my life. It was just, you're hot. I'ma marry you. And it turned out for the worst for everyone.
Anakin Skywalker was like the original YouTube vlog bro. Like it's a joke, and the things just keep getting worse and worse and worse until finally you do a full genocide and you're like, it's a joke, it's a joke. And people are like, maybe we shouldn't.
A prank, bro.
Maybe we shouldn't let this guy back on YouTube or Naboo or whatever. But no, NabooTube.
Naboo.
Thank you, Ben. NabooTube. Part of the Bosnaz network.
Don't put that evil on Boss Naz.
Naz work.
It's just, I'm constantly reminded every time I watch these movies, throughout this process, Padme Amidala is one of the most well-rounded characters in the entire saga. except for her love life, which makes no sense whatsoever. She's really like, George managed, for whatever reason, putting aside his weird whatever, he wrote two strong women characters that did not, well, one, and then a second that he put in a tiny metal bikini at one point.
Yeah, that watching these movies as much as we have is like, oh, I feel like I've taken Padme's character for granted all these years. Like, I feel like I never really gave the character as much credit as she deserves.
She's fantastic. I've always been in awe of, first of all, her fashion sense. I don't have a fashion sense, but like looking at her, it was like, holy shit, except for that one that was obviously designed by a man who wanted to see tatas.
I could see it in the headdress.
Yeah.
I buy the shower thing, and you buy like a Padme Amidala headdress thing, and we just take photos. We have our it's part of a merch corner thing. No. Ben dresses up as Boznaz.
What is happening? Chris, what are you attempting to describe here?
A nightmare.
Anyway.
Jay looks like she just totally dissociated for the past 30 seconds.
Well, yeah, I dissociated because I'm well aware now that Chris is gonna buy the fucking shower head. And in the same note of like him saying, I could see you in one of those headdresses, you'd look good. He said, and then I'll get the shower head and I'll get you near with like, what the fuck are you talking about? What is up with you in the shower head? I regret everything.
I just like that you're calling Chris out for buying it first. There's definitely no way I already have it shipped.
There's that face again. I don't know why she keeps making that face at us tonight. I don't know what.
Because she's very disappointed in us.
That's on point. You know, you bullseyed it right away.
So disappointed with us. Jay, we love you.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm sorry, I love you too.
My heart.
I'm sorry, I love you too. I don't remember what I was saying. It was something about Padme and Anakin not... Like, okay, I remember now. Padme is a well-rounded character whose romance makes no sense whatsoever ever except in regards to it having to be the plot. Empire Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back.
Empire.
Oh.
I really am upset we don't get more Billy D. Williams in all of these movies, because he's easily my favorite part of both the movies he's in. I mean, like,
yeah.
The only Star Wars movies Billy D. Williams is in, all two of them.
3.
All 2 of them.
You're just not acknowledging the third one that we have to watch in 4 weeks.
All 2 of them. What if for like a Rise of Skywalker episode we start up this fucking Skype call, we're talking for the pre-podcast, you count us in, and then like just do the podcast intro, and I just stare deadpan in the camera the whole time, just
for
dead face.
An hour plus.
I just dissociate for an
Please
hour
don't.
plus.
Please don't. We need you. When Chewie is put in his cell, as he moves over to 3PO, the lyrics from Contra Coup, you saw my injury play, and then as he picks up 3PO's head, the lyrics go, you can tell just by looking at my skull, which was fantastic. It was a fantastic sync. It made me very, very happy.
We don't talk enough about how 3PO is randomly brutally murdered in this movie.
I'm pretty sure Jay mentioned it quite a bit in the earlier parts of the show here, because it bothers her quite a bit, which it should.
But like, fucking liberation, please. Like, seriously, droid liberation, please. The biggest crutch of the entire world building of Star Wars is that It is built on the backs of droids that are supposed to either be murdered as soon as you see them, be funny side characters, be someone you sympathize with but aren't willing to like help, or just slave labor.
Or
That is
killing
what-
machines.
Or, well, I said killed on sight.
No, like they are killing machines.
That's what I meant. You come across a killing machine, you're supposed to kill them on sight.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. And anytime there is any kind of story, Solo, for example, the best part of that movie was the character the droid character that Lando was in love with was trying to.
Great.
That was the best part of the movie. Most people really hated it because they were confronted with the realization that droids are treated fucking terribly in this world. I'd love every time I watch Empire and Return of the Jedi, I am just reminded that 3PO and R2D2, they're great. They're also slaves. They're also just kind of
A
slaves.
New Hope doesn't give you that feeling
It does.
when they're literally
or just-
purchased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A New Hope too. All the movies are kind of like that. BB-8's really, really funny. Also a slave. Like this is the crutch of Star Wars, is that they're supposed to be that role, but we don't want to touch that role. And if we do, it's temporary, and we don't want to actually come to the natural conclusion. So why would they have pain receptors? Ben, I know what you're going to say. Pain receptors are to feel something so that you can protect yourself when you're in danger. I have a counter argument. Why would you have pain receptors except to be put in your place if you disobey?
So
Those
they-
pain receptors were put in to be tortured. I have a huge problem with droids as a concept in Star Wars.
One
It
of these
deeply
days,
upsets me.
I know we've pitched a couple of these. I say we. I think I've pitched a couple of these, like one-shot just videos on like various topics. We should totally do one on droid liberation.
Let's do a droid liberation
It's just
episode,
Jay and I
goddammit.
sitting here with berets. We're just fucking. Hello, welcome to Droid Liberation every week forever.
Well, that's
Seize the
like-
means
I-
of creation.
I scroll through TikTok a lot lately because I got a TikTok and everyone is now going to be disappointed with me. But unsurprisingly, a lot of what I watch is like world building, lore stuff. And this week in Star Wars news, there have been some Boba Fett Slave One merch released labeled Boba Fett's ship. And everyone's freaking out because they think they're totally decanonizing the Slave One name, which they're not. Disney's just trying to distance themselves from it because, naming things slave might be a little, controversial.
Also, like, if they change the name, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I feel like this is another thing where people are almost accidentally giving Disney more credit than they deserve. It has nothing to do with that. It has absolutely nothing to do with that. What it has everything to do with is accessibility. And the reason is, well, if you just call it Boba Fett's ship, it's easier for kids to see and go, oh, I know that, or grandparents who know nothing about Star Wars or anything, their grandkid tells them, I just want Boba Fett's ship, and they go, well, there it is, cool, perfect, boom.
Yeah,
They aren't
that's
gonna
really
go,
what it is,
"Oh,
to
I'm
sell
gonna
more
buy my-"
merch.
Yeah, I'm going to
Yeah.
go buy my kid the Slave One.
Yeah.
In
Oh.
classic, this is the part of George's vision that was most taken to heart by Disney. Sell, sell, sell. Everything else doesn't matter. Sell. Just sell. That's what's happening here. But, like, also, Slave One is never said in the entire, like, any of the movies. Never
No.
said. It's only said in side content. So who gives a shit? I like those Boba Fett books. They're great. I never was comfortable with the use of the term Slave One. It was always very weird, so fucking change it. Who
always-
cares?
I
Call it
always
the
found it-
Fett.
Well,
Even as a child, I found it questionable. I was like, that's weird. We've been learning about that. I don't think it's a good thing. Why? Why are we?
The name is remaining like they aren't decanonizing the name.
Yeah.
It's sticking around. It's just they aren't gonna like plaster Slave One on every
that's-
fucking toy set.
I
My
mean,
only point
there's-
is, even if they do, who gives a shit?
Yeah, and I mean, there's
Weird people.
this comes up a lot in comic books where like something will happen and people lose their shit because it's like, oh, that's not what it was. Like, so fucking what? It can change. That's how. Oh, guess what? None of it's real anyway. Fucking.
Chris, you say this, but we are in an endless cycle of mourning the EU.
And this is what I'm saying. We're guilty of it ourselves, though. Even having that opinion, we're guilty of it at times. That being said, if I woke up tomorrow and I fucking opened up Twitter like I do when I wake up because I'm a fucking masochist, and I saw trending, Disney announces they're dropping the Slave One name, I wouldn't be like, oh, but the canon. My immediate thought would be, yeah, that tracks. That makes sense that they're doing that. I'm not surprised about that.
To come back around like this, I was on TikTok and this guy brought up like, okay, so Disney, you're distancing yourself from the Slave One name. That's cool. You want to talk about droids? You want to talk about that
That's where this came from. Yeah.
Individuals that literally get restraining bolts put on them so they can't run away, or like get branded in the basement of Jabba's palace. You want to talk about that? No, okay.
Yeah,
that's just
all right.
That's a societal thing, and I think there's a very small group of people who would ever even consider to give a shit about if robots have feelings, and those people are hardcore science nerds, or like old school sci-fi nerds.
Yeah,
because I mean that concept has been around fucking decades. I mean,
that's like Asimov was big on. That conversation.
Yeah. That's the thing, but nobody. Everyone's like, yeah, self-driving cars and stuff. No one fucking. I don't remember if you were there. We were on a Discord call. I was talking to my Siri, and I thanked Siri. Everyone was fucking making fun of me. They're like, why are you thanking Siri? I'm like, because she'll fucking remember when the robots take over. Siri will remember. I'm always nice to robots. I'm never not nice to robots.
Yeah, this is also an interesting point in regards to an old conversation with Star Wars, if it's fantasy or sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
Before I say this, I want to make clear, Star Wars is obviously an ideological story. Everything is. It's very clear throughout its entire process to be talking about the dangers of fascism, because an empire, and you watch the prequels, it rise into an empire. That's obvious. That said, the difference between fantasy and the thing that drives sci-fi isn't space battles. It's ethics. It's always been this question of, okay, space is out there. What do we do with it? That's what it comes down to, and it's concepts of us evolving as a people, or whoever evolving as a people, and learning to grow and deal with questions that we normally wouldn't. Right? That's not Star Wars. Star Wars has never been that. Star Wars is fantasy to its core. It's pop culture.
Well, I would say Star Wars is. I know this is kind of a cop-out, but Star Wars is like a Western.
Yeah.
It's very Western-y.
Yeah.
It's very much. There's some societal problems here, but we're not going to talk about it. Look at the cowboys. Look at the guns. Pew pew.
Which is funny because if you think about it, it's the dumbed down version of something else. Hilariously, which is a very American concept, because the westerns were based off the old samurai films, and
which
there's a lot of
George
carryover.
Very transparently took inspiration from.
Yeah, and there's it's just more and more of the which those films, there was action that was for its time cutting edge and everything, but there was also deep philosophical storytelling and which again Star Wars does not have.
No,
that's the sacred Jedi texts.
That goes back to George is very interested in that kind of sci-fi ethics question. He's just very bad at writing it. Terrible at writing it. Mostly because he's a capitalist.
George Lucas is that guy Everyone knows this guy. George Lucas is that guy who starts off an idea or a sentence or like a big statement, and you're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, no. Whoa, hold on.
Oh.
Steve.
George,
Hey, man.
buddy.
George Lucas is that guy you knew growing up who had very strong, progressive beliefs. And as he got older and grumpier, he started to be, and successful, he was like, well, you're infringing on my right to be very wealthy. So I'm going to fight back by taking advantage of the system. Merch. I can be independent if I just do nothing but sell merch. Like, George tries very hard to write. I think the prequels are a perfect examination of him in his 20s and in his, 40s.
Yeah.
Because it's him trying to tell a really important story of the fall of democracy while not quite understanding how that happens, despite it was happening around him at the time.
Yeah, but also, again, while still being the guy at the party who has mostly, like agreeable ideas, and then at the end something takes a turn. Like, it's like, oh, damn it, Steve's always got a bad take.
On the surface, they're real good ideas, but then as soon as you dig a little bit, you're like, oh, this comes from a bad place.
You're like, oh, man,
So-
George has kind of a good take, and then, oh, well, that's a bad take. Okay, well,
So-
never mind.
We've decided George Lucas is a libertarian, yeah? Is that
Oh, I
where
should
we're
be.
at?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, freedom and all that, but also droid slavery.
But also pod races.
Yes, that's right. In the
I was so-
libertarian Star Wars universe, the pod races are just plentiful.
Do we have any hot takes on the dinner scene this time? Did any scene because it seems like every time we come back to this movie, something happens in regards to that dinner scene that changes it.
I mean, I just watch Billy D. Williams most times now, and that's always a rewarding experience. Like, just watching his face through all of this stuff happening.
Billy D. Williams is a deceptively fantastic actor.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
almost too good for a George Lucas movie.
Yeah.
And that's not to disparage anybody else in this. Like, the original trilogy has a ton of great actors. Like,
Mark Hamill's great. He brought me Wendy's.
Christ.
On a horse.
This was the episode that just couldn't stay focused. That's what this one is.
it's the one where we get, like, close to having real discussions and then are just violently pulled out of it.
It's the one where you can tell Ben is not on Adderall, even though he probably should be.
It's the one where everyone's concern for our mental health goes up one more level.
As it should.
So yeah, no, Ben's all over the place. Chris legitimately lost it for about a minute and 30 there. It just Chris just fucking spaced out.
I do appreciate that we're at a point in this process where we obviously watch the movie, but if a more interesting point, which everything is more interesting than these movies now, if a more interesting point comes up, we will roll with that.
Oh yeah.
I think the episodes are better for it rather
Someone
than
will
just
be
like,
like- Someone will be like, hey, so the movie, and I'll just be like, so this stream I had last night.
Yeah.
like we
Man.
try to talk about the movie, but like, and we usually do to some extent, but we talk about these movies every fucking week. What is there to say unless we're riffing, other than to repeat ourselves? And I could repeat myself forever, but like,
No, I got you. There's only so far we could go.
there's only so far you can go. Maybe we should just give in to ourselves and whatever thought we have, whether we've talked about it at length at all.
No, I
is
think
just
this episode's proven that's probably a bad idea. At
No,
least not
you
for
see,
us here.
what's gonna happen is eventually this podcast is just gonna boil down to just talking about whatever the fuck, and occasionally Star Wars is gonna come up.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We're usually still talking about Star Wars. Usually.
Yeah.
At least
Except-
Star Wars related.
Except the time we talked about 51st Dates for a really long time. That wasn't. But most of the time we're still talking about Star Wars. Just either the movies we actually like or ancillary shit.
Can you imagine waking up on a boat in the Arctic?
No.
Someone puts in a
not doing
VHS tape and
We're not
explains
doing
to you
this.
that
We're
you
not
have
doing
to
this.
Star
We're
Wars
not
podcast.
doing this.
That
We're not...
you have to watch a Star Wars movie for the first time.
It explains to you that for the past 30 years you've watched one Star Wars movie every week forever.
Like, who the fuck would tell me?
You
I mean, the process might be better if you don't remember it every week.
It's like a downtime Darth segment, right, Chris? Who the fuck are you people?
I never met you in my life. Anyway, this movie is good, right? Like, I enjoyed this movie. I mean, it's the first time I've ever seen it. The next day, it's the first time. The next week, it's the first time I've ever seen it.
I woke up next to Adam Sandler this morning. So far, not great.
We can't ever talk about. Listen,
Oh my god.
we can't ever talk about 51st Dates again unless it's an independent podcast about 51st Dates.
You know we're
So
going
well.
to.
I love that there's been a couple of things that you have seen the legs it has as a bit, and you've had to shut down. You're like, we can't do this ever again. Because I agree with you 100%, but also I could do this forever.
That's like, I knew how bad Obama would be because I had experienced it with Ben pre-pandemic. I knew it was going to be really, really bad. So after an episode, I have to be like, this is going to get annoying to anybody but us really, really fast. Shut it down.
We gotta cut the Obama out.
At what point are we gonna get to just Hoogenz sitting in the fucking dining room?
I mean, this podcast is a snake eating itself, so it won't be long.
I'm just saying. I'm trying to envision at one point the natural conclusion of this being all the bits somehow connecting, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Are we doing 6 Degrees of Hoogenz?
You can't be serious with me right now.
6 Degrees
Oh,
of Hoogenz?
that's a great idea for a
Like
segment.
the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon thing. Like you can always
Oh,
connect
do you know what that is,
to
man?
Kevin Bacon. And
No idea what's happening.
that's so up Ben's alley. I cannot believe you don't know about this.
I've never seen it, but I know what the concept is. It's a TV show where Kevin Bacon hosts, I believe, where they
What?
take like sick. What's that?
No,
Really? He doesn't host it?
nope.
There was definitely a TV
It's
show
a nope.
about it.
It's a phenomenon. It's like a little game you play amongst your friends where you try to match up.
Challenge each other to arbitrarily choose an actor, then connect them to another actor via a film that both actors have appeared in together, repeating this process to try and find the shortest path to ultimately lead specifically to Kevin Bacon.
Well, yeah, let's take that idea
It's
and
like
roll with it.
the Wikipedia races where you'll start on a random page and
Yep.
two people have to click the links to get to a
Yep.
certain page.
Well, let's take this idea. Let's talk about a completely offset subject topic, and we have to try to get it to Star Wars.
Oh God, that's good.
Oh no.
This bit's got legs. Let's go. How do we do this?
6 parsecs of Star Wars. I don't know. You've played this game before, Chris. I've never actually done it with real life people, so you do this.
Oh God. I don't know. How would the concept you described. Great. I don't know how to execute that. I'm not the person.
Okay.
For organization.
So, Need for Speed. I think everybody's seen at least one movie here in that. I think Chris has seen all of the Need for Speed movies.
Need for Speed movies.
Oh, never mind.
Furious?
Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious.
Everybody's seen the Fast and Furious movies, except
Yeah.
Ben. I've seen like 2 of them.
Yeah. 1, the Fast and Furious. 2, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Not connected at all until
No.
later, and then it's connected again somehow. But it's in the past, but also the future.
So Tokyo Drift is like an entirely independent movie that has nothing to do with everything else. So it would be like the solo, and we're there. We're
I was
there.
about to. I saw what was happening a couple of
I
seconds.
got it. I
before.
got it. We're at Star Wars. Oh my god, this is a mistake. We could
You know
do
what
this
that
with everything.
You know what this is? This is a wedding game. This is something you unleash upon a wedding reception, where you go with a group of friends. You go, okay, it is your duty to go talk to all these fucking strangers, as you do at weddings, and you have to get every single conversation you have to Star Wars as fast as you can, without just outright being like, "Hey, so how do you feel about Star Wars?" You know, like you have to steer a conversation to Star Wars and see how quickly you can do it.
Well, let's keep trying this because this is a great idea. I don't know if it has legs to keep coming back. No, we gotta keep trying this. This is a great idea. Chris, bring up a random topic. Just a random topic. It doesn't matter what it is. The weirder, the better.
So, the NBA Finals are upon us.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
the NBA Finals.
The Suns there, first time Phoenix has been in the finals. I think ever. I believe ever for the first time. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
You know, they bounced a couple of pretty good teams. It's pretty exciting.
Right.
I think,
6 weeks in the past from where everybody else is.
6 weeks. Yeah, at this point, Phoenix has already hopefully won. Yeah.
I mean, you said the Suns were in it, right?
Uh-huh. Yep, the Phoenix Suns, the basketball team from Arizona.
Yeah, from Arizona. You know what also has suns? The binary sunset. You know, the most famous scene in all of Star Wars.
Yeah. No. See, all right, this bit's dead. Cancel the bit. You can't.
Well, I was sitting here trying to think, okay, who's been guests of honor?
Let's see. Let's see. Football. Yeah, let's talk about football. We're gonna talk about football. Hey, you know what football players have? Skin. You know who else had skins? Skin. All of the characters in Star Wars. That's how we get. What do you?
Hold on, I can get us there.
You know what else had sons? Fuck you.
Well, it's the most famous scene in Star Wars.
You know, it should be the most famous scene.
God damn it, Ben.
Duel of the Fates.
Motherfucker. Don't you flip me off. Go to your room. As soon as this podcast is over, you're grounded.
As soon as this podcast is over, you're grounded.
This is a bad bit. Cancel the bit. This is a bad bit. We tried,
okay, well,
folks.
let's-
Not all of them are winners.
Well, okay,
Listen,
I don't know enough about things that aren't
should-
either Warhammer, Star Wars, or Halo to
Okay,
continue
Warhammer.
this bit.
Warhammer. Say a
Can I
fact
pitch-
about Warhammer.
Oh God.
Let's see if we can get it there. Let's
There
keep it
is-
to entertainment. Let's keep it to entertainment because it's hard to take a sport and.
Can I pitch the title of this episode just being "They're not all winners"?
All right, give us a Warhammer fact.
Let's go with Space Marines. Space Marines have an organ somewhere in their chest area called the Black Carapace, which helps them attune with their armor.
Okay.
So that it's like it essentially helps the armor become a second skin for the Space Marine.
Okay, attunement's kind of like D&D, right? D&D in 5e, you can kind of attune to items to become more powerful. That's a connection there. That's how this game works, Ben. You're looking at us like that's a stretch. No, that's how the game works.
D&D has magic. Star Wars has the Force. The Force is magical.
Okay, but that's very like disconnected.
I can go
Okay.
one better. Pathfinder is an offshoot of Dungeons and Dragons. You know, it's an offshoot of Pathfinder, the Star Wars role-playing system.
Exactly. 5. We got there in 4 or 5? 5. 4. We got there in 4. That's a more
I
reasonable
feel like
version
that was
of
an
the game.
effective use of this bit.
Yeah. Um,
All right, maybe the bit's not canceled.
no, we can do it. We just have to set some
half a season
parameters.
order at TBS.
I
We
can
have-
pull a lot for Warhammer, but that's gonna get old real quick.
Okay. Yeah, we just have to set the right parameters, right? Like we've got to keep it to subjects we know. Like I can't jump off basketball because I put
I
a
can't-
mental block on all sports.
I
I've
can't
just
do anything
mentally
in
blocked it out.
sports.
Except baseball,
And I
and I'm
do not-
constantly depressed because I'm a Pirates fan. So
And I do not follow basketball closely enough to carry a whole conversation about it by myself. So
yeah, so you got to drop like a fact.
very,
And you
very
did.
sad fan.
Okay. So
I
the
like this new
rest.
thing where we make the audience suffer through our pitching sessions to ourselves, where we're just working shit out on the show now.
We'll do one more. So the wrestler Triple H came out at a basketball game recently to like help with a DX thing. He like came out. Ben's totally done.
I'm already so lost.
Well, it's a subject we both know about, so somebody can
As
jump
soon
off
as
of it.
you say wrestler, I'm like, yep, no idea what's happening.
So it's something at least me and Chris can bounce off of. So there's a random fact about the wrestler Triple H.
Jay's like Triple H. Ben's like, that's too many H's in a row. Why? What are you doing with this letter? That's not how it works. What sound would that even be?
Heh. No, the wrestler. Heh.
The wrestler.
Sounds like Danny DeVito falling over.
Don't make fun of Danny DeVito.
No,
We want
I
Danny DeVito
adore
on the
him.
podcast. We want Danny DeVito on the podcast, Ben.
There's legit an Always Sunny episode where he drops something and goes, oh, whoops.
Chris, you got anything to bounce off of that with? I mean, I have one, but it's such a stretch.
What was the pitch? Triple H came out of the basketball game recently.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I thought there's a wrestler somewhere in Star Wars. Isn't there a wrestler in one of the Star Wars movies?
No, not that I can think
No,
of.
how is Star Wars not having
No,
wrestlers?
wasn't there a wrestling chick in the second season of The Mandalorian?
Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks, who is also in The Mandalorian, Star Wars. It's better what I was gonna do than say glow sticks, and then
That
get
was
us
a-
to lightsabers from there.
That was a very quick connection actually. That was pretty crazy.
This is a terrible bit. It's a terrible
This is just
segment.
awful bit.
I wanted to try it.
Back and forth of like, oh, it's a good bit. This bit's got legs. This is a terrible bit. This bit's promising. This bit sucks. It's terrible. It's the worst thing we've ever done. It's every fucking other bitch.
This bit is terribly great.
Audience, let us know if you want more of this bit or if we should abandon this.
Well, I have thought in the past of like many bits or like segments. There's a difference between a bit and a segment. But every segment that I come up with, except like the ones that I clearly have an idea on that are just like an epiphany, is like, well, what if we just say lines from Star Wars and see who hesitates first? And it's like, that's probably boring for people to listen to. I think this falls under that category, but you can tell us, like
It's fun to do, but like as far as content creation,
Yeah.
it's like
You know, it could be fun. 6 Degrees of Palpatine.
okay, we pick a random Star Wars topic and then we get to Palpatine somehow.
No, we pick a random Star Wars character and we have to figure out how they
Okay.
connect to Palpatine.
Okay, let's do an easy
Since
one.
Palpatine's just everyone's dad.
Okay. Darth Crate.
Darth Crate. Which one's Darth Crate?
He is the
rule of
Tusken-
one.
the rule of
Yeah.
one Tusken Raider Jedi.
Oh, which is after Palpatine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
137.
post-Empire.
Yeah.
Who was his Padawan? Was that
He doesn't technically have a Padawan. He has a group of Padawans.
Yeah, he's a group of apprentices that all work directly under
who
him.
was he involved with the Cade stuff?
Yeah.
Guy during
yeah,
Cade?
Yeah.
So he's
Related storyline-wise to Cade Skywalker, who's
He's not related, but his main
Related
enemy is Cade.
related storyline-wise to him. His main enemy is Cade, so he's in a, you know, his nemesis is Cade Skywalker, who is a
Right.
descendant of all of them.
Anakin Skywalker.
Anakin Skywalker, you know,
who was
all
the apprentice
the
of...
This
apprentice
is really
of
just going to be how can
Palpatine.
we connect things to Anakin.
who is the apprentice of
We
Palpatine.
need something more obscure so that there's more steps.
6 degrees of Hoogenz?
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's got to be something that you can reasonably get to.
Didn't this whole bit start because someone suggested 6 degrees of Hoogenz? Are we doing 6 degrees of Hoogenz?
You can't be serious with me right now.
6 degrees
Oh,
of
6.
Hoogenz?
That's a great idea for a
Like,
segment.
the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon thing. Wasn't that the end of this
We
bit?
are a snake.
Isn't that
We
literally
are
the
full
end?
circle.
Well, thank you, audience. That was 6 degrees of Hoogenz, the
That was 6
conversation
degrees
version.
of what the fuck just happened.
That was us literally doing the game, but with that whole conversation, until we finally got back to the fucking original concept. We literally just demonstrated 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon on the fucking show.
This has been Star Wars every week forever.
Damn it.
Good night. Wait, you got something?
How did we do this?
You got something, Ben?
Oh, I just realized that we've been here for that long.
This has been Star Wars every week forever. We're so sorry. Good night.
6 degrees is a bad bit.
It's a bad bit.
It's a bad bit.
Okay, yeah. It needs to die because we literally just did the best possible thing that could ever happen with it.
Hello, all you beautiful people, and thank you very much for joining us on yet another week of Star Wars Every Week Forever. We upload every Wednesday around noon on various platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, TuneIn, and many others. If you have any friends, companions, people you would like to torture with our presence, feel free to send them our way. You know where to find us. If you would like to interact with the show and the various co-hosts, you can find us quite easily on Twitter at SWEWF. We check there very regularly, so it's easy to get a hold of us. And I hope all of you wonderful people have a glorious rest of your day. Until next we meet, may the Force be with you.